So good evening, everybody. And like I mentioned in the Telegram group, this evening, I want to show us one of the most interesting subjects that my strategy entails, all right? I know there have been a whole lot of questions about how I spot trading opportunities, how I execute my trading opportunities. And we are at that junction in the course of our lessons where I get to show you exactly what informs my trading decisions, the exact patterns, the exact criteria that tells me when or whether or not a trade should be taken. All right, but before we get into the charts, I'm going to show us on the whiteboard exactly what it means for me. All right, my particular trading routine. All right, now this is one of the tools. At the end of the whole training, at the end of the entire training, I'm sure that we would all be able to see the full picture. All right, but in the meantime, I'm just going to be showing us one of the core factors that I consider before I take a trade. All right. So I'm going to start by saying, I want you to picture a student, all right, or let's say picture an athlete, all right, who has had a really amazing career, all right, probably is a 400-meter runner, sprint runner, or probably a 100-meter sprint runner. Now, if you see somebody like that who maybe over the course of his past 3 appearances at, say, an Olympic event, all right, let's say 2016, he was a bronze medalist. All right, let's say 2020, he was a silver medalist. All right. So if I were to ask you in 2024, all right, what can we expect? What is our expectation from these athletes? What kind of medal do we think or do we expect this guy to bring back home? All right. So I want to hear your opinions in the chat box. So let me see that in the chat box. All right. He's an athlete. He has had so far 2 appearances at the Olympics. His first ever appearance, he was a bronze medalist. His second appearance ever, he was a silver medalist. All right. So if he's going to be appearing again in 2024, what medal would you expect that he takes home? All right. I'm seeing your responses. Keep them coming. Just drop them in the chat box. All right, beautiful. So this means that in 2024, we kind of expect this guy to bring home the gold. We just kind of, it's just a natural assumption or a natural belief owing to the fact that we have checked his previous track record, all right, and we have seen a consistent pattern of improvement, all right? We've seen a kind of consistent pattern of improvement. So as a result of that, we know that the best performance that we will get from this guy would be to bring us the gold, all right? So worst case scenario, what do you think the worst case scenario would be for this athlete in the 2024 Olympics? Based on these statistics, 2016 bronze, 2020 silver, in 2024, if the worst case scenario plays out, what do we expect him to bring back? What medal do we expect? All right, beautiful. Now, as a result of this, this is something that actually plays out in the market every single day. However, a little bit more, it's not as conspicuous as this that we're talking about. All right, it's a little bit hidden. The details are a little bit hidden from than this. All right. Now, this is what I mean. When we talk about a trend, we all know that a trend is simply a high, all right, a low. Then we have, if we have a higher low, all right, we simply say that this is an uptrend, right? And then we expect a higher high. All right. So this is exactly like saying, oh, this guy, when it came 2016, this was bronze. All right. This was 2020, silver. All right. So even if in the worst case scenario, all right, in the worst case scenario, if this guy is going to live up to expectation, we expect a performance that is not less than this. All right. We expect a performance that is not less than this. Is that true? Such that the worst case scenario, if this was 2024, all right, and it brings home, maybe peradventure, it brings home the bronze medal again, we would naturally expect that 2028, it should most likely come home with the gold. Do we understand this, please? Do you get this, please? Now, because we have seen a track record of consistent improvement, all right, we've seen how this athlete has consistently improved upon himself, all right, or herself. So we can categorically expect a better performance, all right? And this is exactly how trends are created, all right? This is exactly how trends are created. Trends are simply created by a consistency in performance or a consistent market movement, all right? Such that when we have markets moving consistently upwards, all right, regardless how much challenges it has to face or how much retracement that happens in the market, we can conclude that this is a bullish market, all right? And at the same time, when we see prices continue to make lower highs, all right, regardless whatever bullish retracements we might experience, we say that this is a bearish market, all right? This is a bearish market. So if you're still with me and you've understood everything that I've explained so far, can you please drop an emoji in the chat box? Let me know that you can hear me loud and clear and you understood this. All right, beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right, great, 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 great. I can see all of our responses. I can see all of our responses. All right, so as a result of this, all right, we know that this is how trends are created. We know that this is what trends imply. All right. Now, a tool that we use to define trends, all right, and create an expectation for the next moment, all right, create an expectation for what next we expect from the market. Okay. One of those tools is what I'm about to show you tonight. All right, is what I'm about to show you tonight. All right. Now, that tool, let me quickly show you how that tool works. That tool works in the sense that when I want to analyze the markets, all right, when I want to analyze the markets, and I'm able to measure this movement, all right, which was that athlete's initial performance, okay, what that tool does is that it gives me areas, all right, possible regions where of performances that this guy will most likely fall into. All right, something like this. So it marks out for me all of the possible regions or the possible levels of medals or performance that this guy could possibly have in the Olympics or at the Olympics. All right, can we still hear me loud and clear, please? All right, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So right about now, we're going to head into the charts, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works. Now, I know so many of you have questions about how my Fibonacci levels work, how I use my Fibonacci levels, and how it all plays out together, or how it all connects together. All right? So I'm about to show you exactly how that works for me. All right. I believe that we still remember this analysis. I think this was last week. This was early last week. And I was showing us that as far as I was concerned, US dollar was going to gain some strength. And as a result of that strength, I was going to expect some degree or some amount of bearish movement on Euro USD. All right. And as you can see right here, we had that bearish momentum on Euro USD. And just like I stated that it was going to bounce a little bit back up and then continue the bearish movement. So this is where we are at, all right? That's where we're at the moment. And I'm going to be showing us how this whole thing interplays, all right? How all of this plays out together. So if you're on this call right now, if you're in this meeting right now, and then you don't have the values that I use for my Fibonacci retracement tool, please take this down right now. I'm going to show you an example of what my Fibonacci looks like. Let me see. All right, this is loading pretty slow. Adetola has been a pain in my back for a very long time. At least so far in a couple of weeks, I have had really, really terrible internet reception from different locations, the office, the house, everywhere, but nonetheless, let's see what we can make happen with this. All right, let me just use the whiteboard. Let me use the whiteboard. All right, so I need you to jot down these levels. All right, we're going to deal with that today. We're going to look into that, Mr. Prince. All right, so 76.4, we have 88.2. All right, so these levels are levels that you're going to need to add to your Fibonacci retracement tool. Now, the reason why I put OR in front of it is because there's a slight difference in the way it's represented, all right, on MetaTrader, and it's a little bit different from how you set up your Fibonacci on TradingView, all right? There's There's a very slight difference between those two. All right, so that's why I am saying that. Well, that's why I'm giving us that this or in between. All right. So there are certain terminals that will allow you to type this. All right. Now this is actually 76.4%. All right. It's actually percentages. All right. Or if you convert that percentage to decimal, all right, what you would have is 0.882. All right. So this is just a a difference of representation. All right. It's just a little bit of slight difference in the way these things are represented. All right. There's really no extreme stuff. It's just normal mathematics. All right. So when you add these levels to your Fibonacci, this right here, which is the 0.27, is usually my TP1. If I want to take a softer position, a longer riding position, but if I want to scalp, all right, there's another way, there's another TP that I use as my TP1. If I want to scalp, minus 0.27 becomes my TP3, all right? Likewise here, this becomes my TP3 for longer positions, all right, for longer trends. That becomes my TP3, and minus 1 is usually my TP2 if I'm taking longer positions, all right? And usually my entry spot is what I refer to as the sweet spot, which is anywhere between 61.8, which is a percentage of 0.618, and 76.4. I love taking entries from that zone, all right? However, there are certain exceptions where I take entries from the 88.2 level, all right? From the 88.2 level. So I want to believe that we understood that. Or does anybody have questions about what I've said so far? Do we have any questions? If you do have any questions, please type it in the chat box right now. All right. No. These are levels that you will need to add to the default Fibonacci. All right. These are not levels that come with the Fibonacci in as a default. All right. These are levels that I had to research and calculate and arrive at. So it's not available on your default Fibonacci. So you're gonna have to edit this into it. All right. You're gonna have to actually edit this into your Fibonacci. Any other questions, please? Any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions, please? Any other questions? If you have any questions, please let me know in the chat box now. All right, I'm going to show you some exceptions. Like I said, I only use 88.2 as an exception, all right? It's not something I use all the time, all right? But there are particular times where, or there are particular moments where that becomes the best entry point for entry. Yes, you can actually edit your Fibonacci. It's editable. Maybe I'm going to just drop a link to a YouTube video that shows how to edit your Fibonacci levels. I'll try to look for a YouTube video that can show us that. But in case I don't do that, please just go on Google and just search how to edit Fibonacci on MetaTrader 5. You'll get enough materials that would point you in the right direction on that note. Any other questions, please? Any other questions? MT5 and MT4 are virtually the same thing. It's just majorly the main difference between the two of them is in the representation. All right, the quality of the graphics, then the coding, the programming language. All right, but that only concerns you if you're a programmer or if you are into automated trading. All right, if you use automated trading systems, algorithmic trading and all those stuff. But if you do not, then your only worry should be, the representation is the only difference that you should be concerned about. Do we have any other questions before we move on today? Yes, of course. Of course you can. Of course you can. All right. So I think I have answered those questions. So right about now, let's head into the chart. Can we all see my screen, please? All right, beautiful. So for starters, you're going to need to identify a high and a low. All right, for starters, you need to be able to identify, okay, this is a low, this is an high. All right, this is another low, this is another high. All right, this is another low, and then another high. All right, once you're able to identify that, then one thing you can do is measure this high. All right. And as you can see, we see that this retracement actually came really close to the 61.8. All right. For those of you who use TradingView, this is what my Fibonacci levels look like. All right. You see, this is 76.4. This is 2.618. This is 1.618. This is minus 1.618. So when you move a little bit closer, all right, we've measured for this first movement. So let's also measure this second movement. You see that this was also somewhere around the 61.8 level. All right, so let's measure this last movement. I'm going to show you why we have to measure this movement, all right? Beautiful. Now, can you see the measurements from this first movement? Let me quickly pull this aside. Now, from this first movement, all right, from this first movement that you're seeing here, remember I said that when I trade with the Fibonacci, where did I say my first take profit usually is? Minus 0.27, right? And then you see that when price got to this minus 0.27, all right, we had this consolidation and then this huge drop. Can you see that? And then if we bring this back to this second, you also see that we had this first TP and we almost got to the second take profit, all right, before we had this drop too. Okay, so now, why am I trying to show you this? I want you to be able to understand that the same way like that athlete that we started with, or like that athlete we started with, market often makes certain movements that are measured, all right, that fit almost perfectly into one another. Another example that I'm going to use to show you is this. Now, can we see this arrowed line that is on the screen right now? This arrowed line that is on the screen right now. This arrowed line that you're looking at, all right, I'm going to duplicate this arrowed line and then place it here. What does that show you? What do you notice there? If you look at it, you see that what market is telling you is that this movement and this movement are exactly identical. Can you see that? They're exactly identical. This same move is the same thing the market repeated here. Is that something we are all seeing right now? Can we all see that? Hello, can we all see that? All right, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to show you another example. This movement here, from this low to this high here, all right, if I duplicate this arrowed line, we'll see that you see that this movement that price made here, all right, is almost the same as the movement that price made at this point, from this low to this high. All right, can we all see that? Now, why am I showing you this? I'm trying to get you to understand that there are movements that the market makes, all right, and the market ends up repeating those movements again and again and again, all right, again and again and again, because if I duplicate this arrow once again, you see that it lines up perfectly with the movements that price made from this low to this high, all right? So you begin to realize that over and over again, price begins to repeat certain patterns, all right? Repeat certain movements, repeat again and again and again. All right? And the essence of this is so that you're able to realize that market actually does something called measured moves. All right? Market actually does something called measured moves. The movements that market makes are as random as they may appear, they are really not so random. All right? Which is exactly what the creator of the Fibonacci formula, all right? Which is exactly the theory of Fibonacci. Because Fibonacci's theory claims that, shit.